All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I played SoD Phase 3 for probably a grand total of about 5 hours. I did a few SM Cathedral runs and then discovered that I really needed to be doing this stupid Emerald Dream stuff. I was already struggling to come back and play SOD from Phase 2 to Phase 3. Uh, to me, it's basically I'm getting really sick and tired of rushing to the new quote unquote max level, and then basically being forced into a raid or a PvP gear grind fest, only to then engage in PvP that, if we're being very frank and honest, is really, really bad. Blizzard desperately needs to put in a 20 to 25% PvP damage reduction just straight up in the game, player to player combat, but they're just not doing it. And then I also get sick and tired of the fact that my gear just gets outdated, and that's just like do it all over again. So I couldn't shake the feeling after phase two that I was basically playing retail. Um, yeah, so that sucked. What made me excited for Phase 3, however, was Blizzard finally put in like easy access PvP gear, so that in theory all you had to do was rank up and get access to your PvP gear, and you could start PvPing very quickly. That is really, really good. The problem, of course, here is for me is that the PvP still kind of sucks. And this isn't someone saying like, "Oh my, I can't make my class work suck." Lord knows I can make my class work. It's still just it's it's terrifying in the sense that when you go into BGs, there's so many instant cast death spells running around that you kind of blink and you explode, right? Which was not really the case in classic World of Warcraft. Instant cast damage spells were almost non existent in classic WoW. People would actually have to root themselves in place and start casting spells at you, which meant there was some counterplay for you to move forward or to run away, as opposed to they just don't like what you're doing and they click a button and then you die, right? So it's like hunters have all these instant cast spells. They're basically mages right now. Mages are doing a bunch of like crazy instant cast stuff. Shadow priests have Shadow Word Death. Shamans, of course, yeah, their stuff might as well be instant cast because it's like a 2 second cast and it just does so much damage that you're gonna feel that. Not on top of that, they have Earth Shock and all the other stuff. Shamans have crazy instant cast spells. It just not super enjoyable. Not a lot of room to play. Not room, more like time. I'm really struggling to articulate why I'm disgusted here. Thank you. Nobody asked for that. Nobody asked for that. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm struggling to articulate what's pissing me off here. But the Emerald Dream literally broke me. Holy crap! Doing the Emerald Dream broke me. Whoa! What is that? That Emerald Dream stuff is straight out of retail. So here's the things that are completely breaking me right now. In less than 10 hours, people are already level 50, and it's not just the mages doing AOE grind stuff. It's people going into the Emerald Dream and just doing all these what are basically Silithus group quests, and they get level 50 in 10 hours. And there's also that 50% experience gain XP buff on, which means that like leveling is supposed to be a huge part of classic World of Warcraft, right? Like leveling is like 2/3 of the game. And then if you're a PvPer, you're supposed to be spending quite a bit of time, getting your PvP gear, but there's a bit of a race to get good PvP gear. Yada yada yada. But you can slowly, and surely build up to having the PvP gear in the game. Uh, Season of Discovery has basically turned leveling into a complete shit show. So that aspect of the game is completely gone. There's no reason to min max your character whatsoever. The world is not threatening while you're leveling in the slightest, and you're literally on a treadmill of level as quickly as possible to the new max level, and then work hard to get a bunch of gear, And then, oh, by the way, in like a month or two, do it all over again. And I'm just like, oh my God, please just stop. And it would be, I wouldn't be too terribly offended by it if the PvP was somewhat decent and or remotely well balanced. But it's just not. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, a lot of work, terrible PvP, and doing all the things I don't like. Okay, what do I not like in Classic World of Warcraft? I don't really like raiding. I think raiding's stupid. I just do raiding to get the gear. The leveling stuff is pretty decent. You know, making gold is something that's definitely can do. They took that away from us in Season of Discovery as well. Leveling gold is just awful in Season of Discovery, or making gold is just awful in Season of Discovery. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm playing retail. And in retail, it's literally just level to max level as quickly as you can, get raid locked, and possibly sit on your hands and do nothing, right? Especially in the PvP gear system of retail, where they usually use like conquest points or something like that. So you'll get your weekly max of conquest points, and then you log out for the week, and that's basically all you do. And you're just praying to God that the PvP is somewhat fun because they make it incredibly easy to get your gear. I'm happy to see that it's easy to get gear for PvP, but I'm not happy to see that the PvP actually sucks, right? So it's like, okay, thanks, I guess. Oh, the other thing that's really breaking me and pissing me off is everybody now has access to their BIS PvP gear except Paladin. Literally, Paladin does not have access to their BIS PvP gear. It's possible that Enhancement Shaman also does not have access to their BIS PvP gear. I imagine they want male all stats gear, right? Same as Paladin does. But they don't have that. Lord knows we don't have that, so just kind of sucks. Also, I'm not really digging the new runes, even though they are kind of amazing if you really look at it. Almost none of them are super good on the defensive side of things. Our healing still really sucks as Paladin. Like, I'm still stuck using Holy Light as my primary major healing source. Like, there's so much damage flying around, you have to use Holy Light, right? Which is fine. The problem with Holy Light, of course, is that she's super mana inefficient compared to all these other things that are mana inefficient. Don't get me wrong, okay? I can make Paladin work. So I have no real right to actually bitch about the state of Paladin because Lord knows I can make her work and she's absolutely terrifying and a monster. It's just that the PvP's not fun, if that makes any sense. So, for example, in actual Classic, right, a Ret Paladin can very easily 1v3. You find yourself in a 1v3 scenario. It's not an even fight, but you can actually do terrible, terrible, awful, no good things. Season of Discovery, not so much because of all the instant cast spells that are flying around. If that makes any sense. Basically, they just have to, everyone runs in a different direction, and you might be able to kill one of them, but the other two are going to get you. Partly that might be an issue of Paladin talent trees. So Paladins suffer greatly from being low level. So, for example, there's no Paladin build in the entire game where you could strip off 5 talent points and the build would be even remotely viable. The reason for this is because you're losing something critical. You're losing eye for an eye, or you're losing reckoning with those 5 talent points, or you're losing the capability of healing. Paladin, all known Paladin PvP builds basically have 3 spare talent points at most. So, for example, Deep Rat Paladin. If you took 5 talent points away from Deep Rat Paladin, they lose access to their 15 second stun duration. This is even worse if you don't have 3-piece rank gear, which currently doesn't exist in the game, to reduce the cooldown of your Hodge to 35 seconds, which means Control Ret doesn't exist, right? Which is fine because there's lots of damage still in the game. Again, you can make Deep Ret work. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just pointing out that part of the reason I might be upset is the fact that I don't have all my talent points. Reckoning does not gain access. Can have Reckoning, but doesn't get eye for an eye. That's a big problem. Holy Shock can't get access to Eye for an Eye. They literally get Eye for an Eye. They put 17 points into the Ret tree, and then they have 3 talent points to spare. So if you strip 5 talent points away from them, you're not going to have Eye for an Eye. Reckoning also, for similar reasons, can't get Eye for an Eye. Holy Reckoning. You strip 5 talent points away from Holy Reckoning. It's not the worst thing in the world, but if I recall correctly, I don't think we end up. I think we cannot. We no longer have access to the free instant cast heal spell. I think we have technically 4 spare talent points. You put 3 of them, I do believe, in like Lasting Judgment or Improved One-Handed Weapon Specialization. One of them goes into Blessing of Sanctuary, and the 5th talent point ends up giving you the free critical heal. Without the free critical heal, Holy Reckoning really, really, really has issues. That's kind of the whole reason you're so deep into the Holy Tree in the first place, is to pick up the 2-minute cooldown free crit Holy Light. So you don't get that. Then of course there's Heal Reckoning. Heal Reckoning is super tight on the build order. She has exactly 25 talent points in the Prot tree, 17 talent points into the Ret tree, and then she has, I do believe, 9 talent points, between 8 to 9 talent points, which is all the talent points you have left, into the Holy Tree, specifically to give you the ability to heal while using Improved Concentration Aura. You strip 5 talent points away from that, and she suddenly she loses Eye for an Eye, basically. So level 50 is not going to be any fun for PvP, in my assessment, because one, none of the Paladin builds are even remotely operational. You need those extra talent points. Blizzard still refuses to give us proper Paladin PvP gear. It just doesn't exist. It's like, hey, what about stamina, intellect, spell power, plate gear? And I'm like, why don't you just give me tier 2 that actually has all that plus strength? Or why don't you give me the equivalent of rank gear or Avengers, which has all of that plus strength and critical strike, like melee crit? Like, what are we doing here? Well, why are you jerking me off? Well, why are you screwing me around? And it's like, oh, do you want the warrior plate gear? And it's like, no, no, thank you. So that sucks. So the short of it is, I'm probably just wasting my time in phase 3. Maybe I'll come back at level 60, because at least I'll be off the damn treadmill, like theoretically, unless Blizzard wants to put us on another damn treadmill. It's like, finally I'm level 60, so I can start building my damn paladin. Like, holy crud. But there's a really good chance Blizzard's also going to screw things up at level 60. I'll keep making guides as best I can when I get access to like new rune information or anything like that. So I'll still theory craft for you guys, but phase 3, I'm just not doing it. Like, hell no. Get me the hell out of here. So anyways, I'm ending the video here, and good luck to you guys. Day is full.